Tito, for you, when the odds were released, you are a heavy underdog coming into this fight against Anderson Silva. Do you use that as bulletin board material? Does that motivate you, or just the fact that you want to go out there and, compete and show the world that you are a formidable force against somebody like Anderson Silva in the boxing ring?
I really don't look at odds. I don't care about odds. Odds actually kind of push me to want to express my feelings inside the ring. And my feelings is to hurt the man in front of me. I got to go back to the weight thing, because if I don't make the weight, they're going to take percentage of my purse away. So they're taking food off the table of my children. And that makes me very angry, but a focus in anger. I'm excited because Anderson is one of the best in the world. I've always wanted to fight Anderson. I've always had respect for him, like I say, but I understand how his team is going to take control of what weight he should be fighting at. Like I said, he's fought at 205 before. And I thought, I thought he'd be a gentleman and make it at least 200, knowing that I used to be the middleweight world champion myself, and I used to make 199. And that was the weight class. When UFC moved the weight up to 205 was because of me. They asked me what would be the perfect weight for 205 pounds, or for light heavyweight. And I said 205 pounds. So that's how they made it. But once again, I understand what their theory is behind it and what they want to do. Like I say, I really don't look at odds. I just look at the factor of how am I going to be when I step into the ring and compete against Anderson Silva, one of the greatest middleweights to ever grace the octagon.
Anderson, how much has your confidence grown since defeating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? Because you went ahead from the MMA realm into the professional boxing ring against a guy who fought for the world championship in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And incidentally, you beat him in his home country down in Mexico. So tell us about the fact that you really, you're getting into the boxing ring for the second time within a few months period, but how much did that fight really boost your confidence, if any?
Well, when I accept the fight, I just talked to my coach about showing my respect for boxing, and I working hard for 4 months with my coach, and just for showing my respect for boxing, for the Mexico country, and for the Chavez family. Chavez is an amazing fighter, and I respect a lot. And I respect the other fighters too. And when I go to do my job, I try to show my respect for my fans, for the people work with me, for my coach, and for the world too.
Now, Anderson, the fact that, there was talks years ago about a potential matchup, you and Roy Jones, et cetera, you were under contract with the UFC. Once you got free of that contract, you made your pro boxing debut. Now you're fighting with Triller, and Ryan Kavanaugh has been very open and honest, saying, look, I am an alternative. Triller Fight Club is an alternative, and I'm going to give fighters who want an opportunity that platform to display their talent and also make a healthy financial compensation for your efforts. So is it gratifying knowing now that you can dive into the world of boxing, which has been talked about for you for a long time, even prior to your pro boxing debut against Julio Cesar Chavez back in June?
Well, I love boxing. It's a very interesting and a very special sport. I love my sport too, MMA, but boxing is have something special in boxing. I'm a big fan for a lot of professional fighters and legends in boxing. And I just training box for years with Coach Doria, and in Brazil when I start training, I just training a lot, and I try to do my best in my sport. I try to do my best right now in boxing, and it's something I love and something I try to put it outside me, and for people to see how much I can continue do my job, inspiring people, in the new generation too.
Tito, for you getting this opportunity to dive into this world with Triller Fight Club, Ryan Kavanaugh has been, he tried to get, GSP to potentially fight Oscar De La Hoya. And from what we heard that, the UFC blocked that, didn't want to see that fight, take place. Therefore, insert Vitor Belfort. Tell us about Triller Fight Club coming on and providing an opportunity to other fighters who want to dive into the pro boxing realm. And, you are a product of that now in the co-main event on September 11th against Anderson Silva.
It just makes me really excited that Kevin was given this opportunity for fighters like myself and Anderson, Vitor, Belfort, and De La Hoya to compete against each other to see who's the best fighter inside the ring. But once again, for the fans to watch this, it's amazing. When I got to see Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., that was a fight that I wanted to see, my whole career. And I had my career just as being a fan of boxing in general. I mean, back in the days of Hagler and Hearns and Roberto Duran. And these are the guys that I grew up watching, Mike Tyson and Oscar De La Hoya, Fernando Vargas. These guys that I've watched boxing through mixed martial arts. I try to adapt the same skills in boxing, but I came from a wrestling background. But still at the same time, as the years gone on, from 2011 till now, boxing was a big part of my game because I come to learn that people started defending the takedowns. So you got to learn how to punch. So over the last 5 to 6 years, now all of a sudden I started learning how to move my head a lot more and set on my punches where they're power punches. My last fight against Chuck Liddell, knocking him out. Yeah, at the same time, he was a little bit slower, but still, I'm starting to understand the fundamentals of boxing because it is a special sport. There's nothing that can compare to it. And not even MMA can compare to it just because the punches aren't as hard as you do in boxing because you're not worried about a head kick. You're not worried about a knee. You're not worried about an elbow. You're not worried about a takedown. You're able to move your head and move out of positions in and out. And Anderson's a guy who's done that his whole career. But I don't think he's really fought anybody that has been able to push the force and has power the way I have through the last 6-7 years of my career. But once again, I'm thankful for Anderson for accepting this fight. I'm thankful for Triller for getting this opportunity for us to compete against each other. I'm just excited to get back in the ring. I'm excited to get my body and my mind in a mental place where I can compete and be happy. People got to understand, fighters are the most loneliest athletes in the world because it's only me versus another person. There's no team. There's no coach. Yeah, there's a coach in between rounds, but still, you got to do the work before to make sure that you perform at a great capacity. And being in a negative light or in a negative world as a fighter is horrible. Over the last 8 years, my life has changed completely. I got myself away from UFC. I reinvigorated my life, reinvigorated my career. My mental state is like it's never been before. So I'm excited to compete against Anderson, to show everybody that there is a new Tito Ortiz. There's a positive and vicious Tito Ortiz that'll be in front of Anderson Silva. And I hope he doesn't look at my old fights when I fought Nogueira or when I fought Machida because I was slower. I don't understand head movement. There's a lot of things that I've learned that I've been able to adapt to for this fight that I hadn't had before. So I think this will be a really exciting fight, and a lot of fans will be going, wow, Tito actually does know how to box.
All right.